All right. So as a Java developer, I will be creating a project, a Java project, and inside that project, I will be creating a class with the name calculator. Right. Now within this class, I will be implementing the entire calculator functionality. So in calculator, what all things I can do in calculator? I can add something, I can subtract something, I can multiply something, I can divide something. There are many functionalities available in calculator, and all this functionality I actually need to design it in my calculator project, right? So what I'll be doing, I'll be creating one functions for these functionality. So I'll be creating a function with the name addition, a function with the name subtraction, a function with the name multiplication, and so on. So in this way, I'll be writing some code inside the addition function. Basically, if we are working on Java, we don't call these things as functions. We call them as methods, right? In case we are working on C++ or C#, we call these things as functions. But in Java, we call them as methods. So what we're going to do inside the addition method, let's say I've written a code that can add two numbers. In subtraction, I have written a code that can subtract some numbers. Same way in multiplication, I have written a code that can multiply some numbers. So in the same way, I have actually completed the entire calculator project. I have implemented the entire functionality with whatever that is required for a calculator project. Right. Now, once I am done with the programming of this calculator project, I just want to test whether this addition method works fine or not. I want to call this addition method from this class. So how will I call it? I must be writing something like this. So I'll be creating an object of this class. I'll say calculator calc equal to new calculator, right? This is how we create an object of a class. Now in this statement, what is an object? So what is an object in this statement? So that's a question to everyone. Either you can write it in a chat box or you can unmute yourself.
Calculate calc that variable.
Calc, all right. Okay. Anyone else wants to try? All right.
Calc is a reference variable, or the new calculator that will be a object.
Exactly.
Where we are storing it in a reference variable.
Exactly. All right. So guys, are you able to see the answers of other students as well? All right. So guys, there's an hi, yes.
Shilpa here, this side. I have gone through the Java tutorial in which it was explained that new calculator would be the object which would be saved in a calc reference variable. So we can create n number of unique objects for a class. This was explained there.
Exactly, Shilpa, exactly. All right. All right, that's fine. So new calculator is basically an object. When I ask this statement, most of the time I get an answer that calc is an object, but calc is not an object. It's just a reference variable, right? If I break this statement into two parts, and then guys, I'm getting some background noise. Can you mute yourself? All right, thank you. Guys, still there is a background noise. I think Shilpa, it's from your end. Can you mute yourself, please? All right, that's fine. All right, so if I break this statement into two parts, then again, this is an object and this is a reference variable. If I don't even write this, I can still create an object of this class, right? Now otherwise, let's say if I've written a statement something like this, calculator calc equal to new calculator, and what I need to do is I need to call the addition method. So how will I call it? I'll say calc.add. Right, I'm taking up very basic example right now, and please bear with me if you are aware of these topics. I'll be picking up other things as well, but I need to clear some of the people that what exactly is an API. So I'll be taking very basic examples right now, right? So if I say calc.add, I should be able to call the addition method. If I say calc.subtract, I should be able to call the subtraction method, right? Same way I can call other methods from this class. Now what if I don't write this statement and I only write new calculator? The object will still be created inside the memory, but will I be able to call any method from this class? If I don't create any reference variable, if I don't say calc equal to new calculator, will I be able to call any object from this class? I can still call objects from this class, right? Now in this case, how will I call addition method? How will I call the subtraction method? I'll say new calculator dot add. So this way I can call the addition method. Now what if I want to call the addition method, subtraction method? How will I call the subtraction? I again need to say new calculator dot subtract. Now what have I done over here? Both addition and subtraction method will be called, but what I have done over here, I have created two objects inside the memory, right? So it means if I need to call the third method, I will again create the third object inside the memory. So I don't want to do it in this way. I want that only one object should be created and rest methods should be called from the reference of that object. So what I've done, I've removed this way of doing it and I have stored this object inside some variable, and I can give any name to the variable. Let's say ABCD equal to this, right? Now I need to define some data type for this variable. Now I cannot store this variable, I cannot create a data type string for this variable. I cannot create a data type int for this variable. This data type should be of this class type only. So I need to write it something like this: calculator ABCD equal to new calculator. And now this is the reference variable that is actually holding this object, the reference of this object. So with by using this reference, I can say ABCD dot add and ABCD dot subtract. So same way I can execute the entire functionality. Right, now let's say I have tested and entire methods that were there inside the calculator class and everything is working fine. Now what I've done, I have generated something called as jar file out of this project. Right, in Java we generate jar file. If this is a case with C# or C++, then we generate DLL files. If we are working on Ruby, if it is a Ruby project, then we generate some gem file. If it is a Python, then there are some Python bindings that we generate, right? So this jar file contains the entire information of your project. Whatever classes, whatever methods that you have inside your class, each and every information can be accessed through this jar file. This jar file is something like this. If I show you a jar file, it's something like this. Like this is a jar file. Now it's nothing like if I double click on it and it will gonna install something. This jar file contains whatever code that I've written inside a project. That is what this jar file holds. Right? It is not executable. I cannot execute it. I cannot double click on it and it will install the calculator project on my machine. It's nothing like that. Right? It only contains the information of your project. What all classes are there, what all methods are there, what all interfaces are there. That is all information is there inside the jar file. Right. Now let's say I left this organization and I joined some HSBC bank. Now again there I joined as a Java developer, right? I joined another company as a Java developer. Now they already have a banking domain project with them. They already have a project in which they have a class called banking. Now they hired me. They asked me to implement a functionality through which they can add salaries for n number of employees. So basically what they want me to do is to create an addition method inside their banking class and implement a functionality that can add some amount of salary in their project, right? Whatever project they assign to me. Now in order to implement this functionality, there are two ways to implement it. Either I can write the entire code from scratch inside this addition method. I can write the entire code. Let's say there are 10,000 lines of code that belongs to this addition method. So I need to write the entire code from scratch. But if I remember, I have already implemented the similar sort of functionality in my previous calculator project. So there was again an addition method in the calculator project, and the functionality is almost similar that I need to implement inside the banking domain project. So again, either I can write it from scratch, or what else I can do is I just add this jar file, the jar file that I've generated out of this project, that is calculator.jar. I can add this jar file inside this HSBC bank project, and I can, as soon as I add the jar file into this project, I'll get access to the calculator class, which is there inside this jar file. So what I'll do, I'll create an object of this class by saying calculator calc c equal to new calculator, and I should be able to access all the methods that were implemented inside this class. And I can directly call a method clc.add over here, and I should be able to call the entire functionality of addition method inside this add method that was implemented inside the calculator project. So in this way, I need not to write the entire code from scratch again, which I have referred it from this calculator jar file. Now this jar file will actually act as an API to my HSBC bank project. So this is what an API is. API only contains your classes, your methods, whatever code that is written inside one project and is being accessed in some other project. So that is what an API is. And if you're talking about Selenium, Selenium is one of the same thing. It's one of the Java project that the company with the name ThoughtWorks came up with. So ThoughtWorks is the one who designed the Selenium. So if I talk about the main website of Selenium, then the main website is seleniumhu.org. So this is the main website of Selenium. Right. Over here, if you see, what is Selenium? Selenium automates browsers, that's it. It means Selenium is only for web-based testing. Anything and everything available on a web can be automated using Selenium, but only the web-based part. Selenium cannot handle any desktop-based application. For desktop-based, there is another popular tool, that is Qtp, right? But why companies are moving towards Selenium? Why they are leaving Qtp behind? Is it because Selenium is completely open source and Qtp is like the license is very costly for Qtp? Is this the reason? I mean, Qtp supports both web-based testing as well as the desktop-based testing, whereas Selenium supports only the web-based testing. And Selenium is completely open source. So is this the reason why companies are moving towards Selenium and leaving Qtp behind? This is not the reason. So there are many other factors behind this, why companies are moving towards Selenium, why Selenium is more popular than Qtp, and what all features are there in Selenium that Qtp does not support. So there is a documentation tab over here. This is really important. I want that everyone should go through the brief history of the Selenium project. This is very important. So Selenium first came into the life in 2004, right? See, for another half an hour session, we will be discussing some theoretical part only, because it's very important. Before we start working on Selenium, we should be knowing the history behind Selenium, right? So Selenium first came into the life in 2004, right, by a developer called Jason Huggins. So he is the one who initially designed this Selenium project. Now, in order to automate his daily routine task, he has created a small Java project. Now, that project went up to such an extent that they thought of giving this project some name, and they came up with a name called Selenium. Now, why only Selenium? If we talk about QTP, in 2004, QTP was a part of which company? It was a part of Mercury. Now HP has actually taken over it, but in 2004, QTP was a part of Mercury. Now, in general terms, if we talk, what is Mercury? What is Mercury in general terms? It's an element, right? If someone intakes Mercury, then he'll die, right? If someone intakes Mercury, then he'll die. So if someone intake Mercury, then we give them an antidote, that is Selenium, so that he may survive. So Selenium is basically an antidote to Mercury. Selenium ends Mercury, right? That is the reason they have given this project name as Selenium. So to end the market of QTP Mercury, and up to such an extent they are successful as well. Now, most of the companies, I mean, not only in India, US, UK, I mean, almost every part of the world, companies are moving towards Selenium and leaving QTP behind. And the cost is not the only factor. There are many other factors involved in this. If we are talking about QTP, which language QTP supports? QTP only supports VB-script, right? It supports VB scripting. Now, if we talk about VB scripting, which operating system VB script supports? You can run VB script code only on Windows, right? VB script is supported only on Windows. So it means that you can run QTP only on Windows. You cannot run QTP on Mac, not on Linux, not on any other operating system. Whereas if you talk about Selenium, then what all languages Selenium support? Selenium supports Java, Selenium supports Ruby, it supports Python, it supports Perl, it supports C#, it supports PHP, it supports JavaScript. So these are the major languages, not only the scripting language, it supports a complete object-oriented language as well, right? Now, out of this, if I specifically talk about Java, what all operating system Java supports? Or rather, I should say, which is the operating system that does not support Java? I don't think that there is any operating system that does not support Java. So almost every operating system supports Java. If you have ever downloaded or installed Java, then you must have seen a message box that says 3 billion devices supports Java. And if we are writing Selenium code using Java, then we can execute that code on any platform, on any operating system. Be it Windows, be it Mac, be it Linux, be it Solaris, be it iOS, be it Android, any operating system that supports Java, we can execute our Selenium script on all those operating systems. That is the unique feature that QTP does not provide, because QTP only supports VB script, right? So this is one of the best features. The second one is that it supports all major browsers. Browsers like Firefox, like IE, like Chrome, like Safari, like Opera, right? All major browsers are supported by Selenium. Whereas if you talk about QTP, initially the major support was only on IE. Right, then they created a plugin for Firefox as well, but still most of the people who are working on QTP, they prefer using IE only, whereas Selenium supports all these browsers. All the major browsers are supported by Selenium, right? So multiple language support is there, multiple browser support is there, multiple operating system support is there, and all this completely open source, right? So the very first two components that the ThoughtWorks guys, they launched is Selenium RC and Selenium ID. These were the initial two components which came up with the very first version of Selenium, that is Selenium 1.0, that is Selenium RC and Selenium IDE. Now, unlike every other automation tool has some record and play functionality, they have created Selenium IDE for record and play. So as in, if I open up Firefox and Selenium IDE is a very small functionality, it's a very small feature. It's basically a plugin to Firefox only, and it is mostly used for record and play. So this is what your Selenium IDE is. It is used mostly for record and play. Now the drawback of using IDE is that the very first thing, it's only a plugin to Firefox. So it will only gonna support Firefox. It will not gonna work on Chrome, not gonna work on IE. Plus the other disadvantage is that if you want to handle a large project, if you want to create frameworks, if you want to do continuous integration, if you want to integrate lot other APIs, you cannot do it using Selenium IDE. It comes with a very limited feature. And if a person is actually working on Selenium, he never used the Selenium IDE. Some people still use Selenium IDE to locate elements, but there are other many tools available for locating elements. You need not to open Selenium IDE and locate the elements by record and play. There are very easy things available through which you can easily locate those elements. So we'll be talking about all the locator techniques in depth, right? But our focus will not be on Selenium IDE because this is nowhere used in the market. People are actually working on the coding part only. So the record and play feature of QTP is much powerful as compared to Selenium, whereas the coding part of Selenium is much powerful as compared to any other automation tool, right? So the coding part they have covered initially with Selenium RC. With RC they have covered the coding part. Now if I'm saying that let's say Selenium is a Java project, right? So they must have came up with some class. They must have some methods inside those class which we can use and we can automate our website, right? So initially they have designed a class with the name default Selenium. So this is the very first class that they have introduced when people used to work on Selenium RC. Now within this class they have created all the methods that you can use and you can automate your website. Now method like they have created a method called start. When you call this method, it will actually launch a browser. They've written a code inside this method that when you create an object of default Selenium class and when you call this method, it will actually launch a browser. They have created another method that is open. And they have given some argument that is, let's say string URL, right? If you call this open method, you need to give a URL. Let's say you have given the URL http google.com. So it will actually going to navigate to google.com. Same way, there are other methods they have created. A method like click. Let's say you want to click on some button or you want to click on some link. Let's say I'm on this website and I want to click on this link. Or let's say I want to click on these buttons, these tabs, or this image. So a click method should work on any element that is clickable, right? Now how this method will come to know that where it has to click, whether it should click on link, whether it should click on button, whether it should click on this image, how we let this click method know about it. So they have given an argument that is locator to this method. Now what is this locator? So if you guys have ever worked on QTP, you must be aware of a functionality called object spy. Now basically what that feature does is that if you take that object spy on any of these elements, let's say I take this object spy to this particular link, it generally shows the HTML property of this link, the unique properties of this link. Property could be ID, it could be name, it could be the link text, it could be any HTML location of this link. Anything that is unique, that is what we need to get from this particular link. So in case of Selenium as well, there are a couple of tools available. Although Selenium is not a tool, Selenium will not gonna provide any such feature or any such functionality which will help you in getting the locators of these elements. There are other open source tools, there are other plugins available that you should be using in order to locate these elements on a web page. So you should be needing some unique property of this link, some unique property of this image, some unique property of this tab or a button in order to perform click operation on the same. Right? Now let's say I got the ID of this link. I got the ID as ABC of this link. So what I'll do, when I call this method click, I'll give the ID equal to ABC inside this method. And when I run my code, it will directly navigate to this website and it will click on this link. Same way I'll do it for the image, for button, for checkboxes, for radio button. Anything that is clickable will gonna work with this click method, right? Same way, let's say I need to type something here inside that text box. Again, I need to locate this element on a web page. So in order to locate this element, there could be n number of text boxes present on a web page, but we need to locate this element only. So there must be a unique address, a unique location, HTML location of this text box, a unique name, a unique ID, anything that is unique assigned by a developer to this text box. We just need to get that unique property and we need to give it to the method that they have created, that is type. Just once again. And here they have given the argument as locator. Now once we have located this search box, we need to give some value that we need to insert inside that text box. So this method is with 2 arguments. Right? Same way they have created the entire library, the entire class, and they have added all the methods inside this class. And this was one of the major class. This is the only major class that people used to work when they work on Selenium RC. And they've written all the methods that you can call and you can automate your entire website. Right? So what they have done, once they are done with the project, they have completed coding of all these methods. They have created a jar file with the name Selenium standalone server, and they have given some version. The current version is 2.44.jar, and they have uploaded this jar file over here. If you go to the download section, you'll find Selenium ID. You can download it from here. This is the version. And if you go downwards, you'll see Selenium RC. This is what you can download it from here, right? And once you download it, you'll get a jar file something like this. Now it's nothing like if I double click on it, it will install Selenium on my machine. It's nothing like that. It contains only the classes and only the methods that is being implemented inside one of the Java project. That is all it contains. Now if I want to see what all classes are there, what all methods are there, what I'll do, I'll go downwards and there is a Java document associated. I'll just click on this Java document. And this is the API document, the Java document you can see. Now all these classes you can see there's a huge list of classes over here. But all these classes are not related to Selenium RC. In RC they have only implemented one major class, that was the default Selenium class. If I click on this class, you will see all the methods they have implemented inside one class only. This is the method summary. If you go downwards, you'll find a method called click. It accepts an argument. that is locator. It clicks on a link, button, checkbox, or a radio button, right? If you go downwards, you'll find another method like drag and drop. You can find another method let's say the method called get text. If you want to get text out of any element, you call this method, you give the locator, and it will get out the text out of that element. Get title will return the title of the current page. Same way, there are n number of methods they have implemented inside this class, which you can call and you can automate any website. A method called open, if you give the URL, it will navigate to that particular page. A method called start. If you call this method start, it will launch a browser with a new Selenium session. If you call a method type, you need to give locator and the value. So it will fill the value inside that type box, inside that text box, right? But these are the only available methods in case of Selenium RC. Now what companies have done, they have downloaded this jar file and they started working on Selenium RC. They've created many projects, they've automated many websites using Selenium RC, created many frameworks, many Java frameworks, right? But after some time, they started facing some challenges while using Selenium RC. Now, what sort of challenges that companies or that people have faced while they started working on Selenium RC? If I talk about the architecture of Selenium RC, in order to work on Selenium RC, we need to start something called a Selenium server. Now, what is the role of this server? If I talk about the architecture, Selenium RC injects JavaScript on your browser in order to locate elements. It means if you want to click on this button, if you want to click on this link, if you want to do any interaction with your browser, your Selenium RC will gonna inject JavaScript on the browser. Now, if I talk about one of the browser called IE, if I open up IE, then you must have noticed, okay, so you must have noticed that over here you see a yellow triangle. Sometime, I mean, when you are navigating some websites, you see a yellow triangle over here. Let me highlight it over here. So what is this yellow triangle? And you see this yellow triangle only on IE. You don't see it on Chrome, you don't see it on Firefox. You only see this yellow triangle on IE. This yellow triangle is basically an alert. It is basically a JavaScript alert or a JavaScript error, you can say. Why this is on IE? Because IE is a highly secured browser. It does not allow any third party to inject JavaScript on its browser. It does not allow any website to execute its own JavaScript on this browser. But on the other end, how Selenium RC works? Selenium RC injects JavaScript on the browser in order to communicate with your browser. So once you execute your Selenium RC code on IE, there are some old applications that only works on IE. That does not work on Firefox, they does not work on Chrome. So in that case, if you are executing your Selenium RC code on IE for those websites, then IE will actually block the execution. It will not allow Selenium RC code to get through. But on the other end, Selenium the guy says that they support IE as well. Then how they support IE? There is a workaround in order to support IE. You need to go to this settings, internet options, and you need to go to the security tab, and you need to remove all these enable protected modes. It means you are removing the entire security from IE. Then you should be able to execute Selenium RC code successfully. Then there won't be an issue. But what if there are some websites that have HTTPS, that are accessed through HTTPS or have SSL certificates installed? Then in that case, if you remove all the security, you'll start getting these errors. Errors something like this, that the site certificate is not trusted, there is some SSL connection error, some security loophole is there. It means if you're unable to open up your website, if you have removed all these securities, then what will you automate if the website will never open? So these were the challenges that people have faced when they worked on Selenium RC. Not only this, the RC functionality was very limited. There were not many methods or many you can say many features implemented in Selenium RC, due to which people has actually lose their trust on Selenium RC. But all these challenges were actually realized by one person. If you again go to the documentation part, so there's one person with the name Simon Stewart. So he is the one who, like, he used to work with Google in 2006, and he started another Java project parallel to Selenium RC, and he have given this project name as Webdriver. Now Webdriver is another Java project started by some other company, and RC was another Java project that was started by ThoughtWorks. So Simon Stewart is the one who is the original creator of Webdriver. Right. Now in this project, he has actually overcome what all challenges that were faced in Selenium RC. He overcome all these challenges in this Webdriver project. Now how he overcome all the challenges? The major challenge was due to the JavaScript injection only. So what he has done, he has completely removed the JavaScript injection from the architecture. He has completely removed the JavaScript injection. Now, if the JavaScript injection is not there, how the Selenium code is going to interact with the browser, how the WebDriver code is going to interact with the browser, what they have implemented inside WebDriver. So what he has done, after removing the JavaScript injection from the architecture, he has created different classes for different browsers. If you want to work on Firefox, there is a class called Firefox Driver. If you want to work on Chrome, there is a class called Chrome Driver. If you want to work on IE, there is a separate class called Internet Explorer Driver. Even to support Android and iPhone, he has created separate classes. Now these classes are not working with the help of JavaScript injection. Now if specifically I talk about Firefox, right, not the Firefox driver class, I'm talking about Firefox browser, then that browser must have implemented in some language, right? The company that who owns Firefox, they must have developed this Firefox in some language. So there must be some native class of this Firefox. There must be some methods that are implemented inside that particular class, right? Now what this class is doing, they have these WebDriver guys, they have actually what they have done, they have actually made a direct communication of this Firefox class to that Firefox API, Firefox browser API. They have actually contacted the vendors of Firefox, and they have taken the API of Firefox browser, and they have made a direct communication of this Firefox driver to that Firefox browser, to the native class of that Firefox browser. And same thing they have done with all the other browsers. They have contacted their vendors, they have taken the API, and they have made the direct communication of these classes to the native class of those browsers. So there is no more JavaScript injection involved. That is why WebDriver is much powerful as compared to Selenium RC. Because in RC, it's only JavaScript injection that is there in the architecture. But these classes are actually communicating with the native class of their browsers. And Android and iPhone, these were not supported in case of RC. These are only in case of WebDriver. But here as well, these classes are only supporting the browser-based testing. Browser-based testing, as in we can perform the testing on these devices, like there are some native apps, there are some hybrid apps, there are some web apps, and WebDriver only supports the web app testing. It does not support native and hybrid testing. Now, what are this native, hybrid, and web app? Any application that is open via browser on your Android device or iPhone device is known as a web app, right? And Selenium and WebDriver supports up till web app only. Native apps are the standalone apps, like your calculator app, any standalone app. You can say a dialer app, the camera app, right? Any standalone app on your device is a native app. Hybrid is a combination of a web app and a native app. You can say a Facebook app. Without internet, it will not gonna work. Any app that has a browser view, but it's a standalone app. So those are basically the hybrid app. And WebDriver only supports web app. It does not support native and hybrid app, right? So this was a feature up till WebDriver what they have implemented. Not only these classes, they have implemented the huge list of class. If you see over here, these classes, all these classes belong to WebDriver. So the one that we were seeing in this Java document. So these are the huge list of classes, right? But you won't be using all of these in one project. It completely depends on what sort of requirement that you have. You will be picking up these classes. Whereas the RC functionality was very limited. It was limited to one class only. All the methods were there inside one class. So if a person is like very new to programming, if a person only know the basics of programming, if, else, loop, he can very easily work on Selenium RC. But to work on WebDriver, your little bit programming concept should be good. Little bit as in your oops concept should be good. Because WebDriver is purely object oriented, right? So our focus will majorly be on WebDriver because Selenium RC is deprecated if you download the current API and if you try to call the default Selenium class, then you'll get a message that this is deprecated, right? Although I have some of the tutorials on Selenium RC as well, the one that you got access to. If you want to practice some of the concepts, you can practice it, but RC is going to be completely finished from like the next version of Selenium that the guys are planning to launch. So in upcoming APIs, you're not gonna see this default Selenium class. There will only be WebDriver. Right now, later on, they have merged these two projects. They have merged Selenium and WebDriver, and they have given that is the reason we call WebDriver as Selenium WebDriver, which is the current version. The current version is 2.44. So we also call it as Selenium 2, that is WebDriver, or we call it as Selenium WebDriver. And this .44, this is the build number. So this is the current version. So the jar file that you download, this is the current version, right? So you can see when I started on this machine in 2012 Jan, it was 2.16. So they keep on incrementing the jars. I mean, whenever they fix something, they create a new jar and they launch it on their website. Then people start downloading it and they try to access the new functionality that they implement. So in future as well, you're going to see many new builds that are coming in. Once you download, next time you might see 2.45 and then so on. Okay, someone raised hand. Okay, yes, Lalit, you have any question so far? Lalit, you need to unmute yourself.
Hi Raman, here this file Selenium server standalone, this is particularly related to the Selenium RC, isn't it?
No, I mean that is what I mean. Most of the people get confused. They think that this jar file is only for RC, and for WebDriver there are other jars. It's true that for WebDriver, they have created separate jars. If you go over here and on Selenium HQ, if you go to downloads, and if you really want to download separate WebDriver jars, you need to download it from here, from this link. And once you download it, you're going to get a folder something like this. In this, you'll get these two jars and you'll get all these jars. These are related to WebDriver, right? But if you talk about this API, this jar file, I can even execute the WebDriver code from this one single jar file. Because the WebDriver project is entirely merged inside this jar file as well. Because when you're working on Grid, the Grid will only gonna run through this jar file. See.
So this is the whole WebDriver file basically.
Exactly. You can find the RC code as well over here. Even you can find the WebDriver code as well over here.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you.
Right. So that is what your Selenium WebDriver is, and then they have created another thing that is Grid. So with the initial version 1.0, they have launched Grid 1, and now they have launched Grid 2 with Selenium 2 or Selenium WebDriver. Now what is Grid? Now let's say if I talk about Lalit, could you please mute yourself? There's a background noise coming. All right, thank you. So let's say if I want to do the BCT testing, BCT as in browser compatibility testing, right, where we test our websites on multiple browsers to make sure that the website is functioning fine on all these browsers, right? Now, if I have to do it manually, how will I do it? Either I can start performing testing on Chrome first, then once I finish the entire testing on Chrome, I'll pick up IE, then I'll pick up Firefox, then I'll pick up Safari, right? Or what I can do, I can assign a couple of resources. I'll ask one person to work on IE, one person to work on Chrome, one to work on Safari, one to work on Opera, and they'll devote their whole day in testing on all these browsers separately, right? So some might work on Windows, some might work on Mac, some might work on Linux operating system, right? If we do it manually, this is how generally we do it manually. But with the use of the Grid, we can automate this entire browser compatibility testing. It means we need not to do all these steps manually. Grid alone can handle the entire browser compatibility part. Now, not only the browser compatibility, even let's say you have 10,000 test cases to execute, and you want to execute it on these operating system or all different browsers. What you can do, let's say I have 4 machines over here. I have, let's say I have one machine over here. This is my Windows machine. This is Linux. This is let's say Mac. This is some other machine, some other operating system. What I can do, I can make one operating system as a hub and all these operating system as nodes. And these nodes will be connected to these hubs. Now when I execute the code using Selenium Grid, I have all the test code written over here, present on this machine. So this code will be distributed to all these machines for parallel execution. And this machine can have IE, this machine can have Firefox, this machine can have Chrome. All the machine can have different browsers and different operating systems associated. So all that code will be executed parallelly on all these machines. So this is what a unique functionality that only Selenium provides with the help of Grid. Even Qtp does not support these sort of features. And all this completely open source. Right? So this is up till Selenium 2.44. And now they are planning for Selenium 3. Now what is Selenium 3? I believe everyone knows about it, because you already are enrolled to one of the course that is from upcoming Selenium 3.0, right? So Selenium 3 is completely focused on mobile automation testing. So if you search on Google, just give me a moment. So if you, let's say if you search for Selenium 3.0, then you'll get something that is the road to Selenium 3. This is an official blog of Selenium HQ, right? Over here, you can see that Selenium 2 was actually released in July 2011, right? And now they're coming with Selenium 3. So Selenium 3, it majorly focuses on the mobile automation part. Not only the web apps, you can automate any native, any hybrid app using Selenium 3. So they are actually coming up with these APIs, that is APM, iOS driver, and Selendroid. In which if I talk about just Selendroid, Selendroid is not yet launched in the market. Selendroid is basically Selenium for Android. It can test all the native, hybrid, and web app of an Android device only. And this is not yet launched in the market. If you go downwards, you'll see still a version that is 0.12. So 12 is the build version. It is not officially launched in the market. Although the API is available, you can still perform some testing on it. I have created some tutorials on Selendroid as well. You can download these APIs and you can perform testing on your Android machine, on your Android phone. But if you are planning to do testing on a mobile device, then I would recommend that don't go for Selendroid. Rather, you should go for another API, that is Appium. So this is officially launched. It was launched like on 3rd May 2014. This Appium was officially launched, right? And the current version is 1.3.4.1. If you download this, right? So this is one of the API that supports both iOS and Android based testing, right? But in case you want to work on iOS, you need a MacBook, and Android can be tested using Windows as well as using a MacBook. But for iOS, since this is an Apple device, so Apple has a monopoly. It does not allow any other OS to do any testing on their devices, right? So Appium can be used for testing on iOS and Android both. And the third API is, again, it's specifically for iOS testing. It's iOS driver, and this is again this iOS driver, even it is not officially launched in the market. So these three APIs are from 3 different companies, right? From 3 different organizations. You can still see a version that is 0.66 over here, right? So these are the 3 upcoming APIs, out of which Appium is already launched. Although they are not a part of Selenium 3 right now, but they are going to launch soon with Selenium 3.0. It was expected to launch by Christmas last year, not even last year. This message is still showing from last to last year. So it was expected to launch, but it is not yet integrated with your WebDriver at the moment. Although these APIs are a wrapper to your WebDriver API, right? This is built up on WebDriver JSON protocol only, and it will gonna support all the methods that you use in WebDriver. Same way you will be locating elements when you're working on a mobile device. So that is what, and all this completely open source. Even the mobile automation testing part, that is completely open source, right? So this is all about the theoretical part, a brief history of what Selenium is, right? and what all components are there. And your entire automation, Selenium covers only the 25% part of the automation. Then where is the 75% part involved? All the Selenium methods, WebDriver methods, they cover only 25% part of your automation. The major thing that are involved is your the core Java concepts, your Java frameworks, that is JUnit, TestNg, right? Your design patterns, or your you can also call it as automation frameworks, that is data-driven, page object model, hybrid, and so on. So major part is covered through these things, and then your continuous integration tools like Jenkins. You can use Maven. You can use Ant. You can deploy your code on GitHub. You can deploy your code on SVN. Right? There are many other tools that you will be integrating with your Selenium project to form up a complete automation. You can say automation framework, or your entire architecture for automation, right? All right, so I have some questions. Can we automate iOS native features using APM? Yes, we can automate, but native as in if you have a standalone app that is available as a code with you in your Xcode project, you need to deploy that app using Xcode, then only you can test it. You cannot automate any dialer application of your iPhone or iPad. You cannot touch any application that is already there on your mobile device if you don't have a code for that. So that is a restriction from Apple end only. But in case of Android, you can test dialers, you can test phone, like camera, you can test any functionality that is there on your device. So Android provides you this feature, but Apple does not allow anyone to interfere with their internal applications. So that is a restriction from Apple side. You can only test an application that is developed in your organization, or you can open up a web browser like Safari on your iOS device, and you can execute any website on it, and you can perform testing on that. Can we test video play? Video play, see whatever things that are going inside video, we cannot test it. But if a video player is something like a Flash player, let's say we talk about a YouTube player, we can test that. I'll show you some example on Flash testing as well. How we can click on play button, how we can scroll the video, how we can mute or unmute a video. These things can be tested. All right. Any more questions before we proceed with the setup part? We are actually done with the theoretical concept. We now need to start with configuring Selenium WebDriver. So before that, if you have any more questions, then you can ask it right now, else we can proceed with the programming part right now. No more questions? Right.
So how do we create jars from the IDE?
Okay, you want to see how we can create jars? That's very easy. I mean, I'm going to show it to you. Let's start with the coding first, then I can show it to you how we can actually convert it into a jar file, and then we can again reuse it. So that I'm going to show it to you.
Okay.
Normally, if you want to try it on your own, just right click on your project and export it. You'll get an option jar, Java. Expand it, you'll get the jar option. So you can try it on your own. Otherwise, I'll show it to you in there.
We'll try it.
All right. All right. Anyone else? All right. So let's proceed with the prerequisites to start with Selenium. So what are the prerequisites? Normally, most of you must have already started with Selenium, but I'll be covering these concepts in our day one session. So from the next session, our focus will only be on the coding part. We'll be writing code and code and code only, right? So today we're going to do all this initial setup that is for everyone. So the prerequisite to start with Selenium, the very first prerequisite is that you need to have Java on your machine. Java as in JDK. JDK, you can download the latest one, the 1.8 as well, but I would prefer going with JDK 1.7 because it has no bugs in it, right? It works absolutely fine with all the APIs. So go to Google and type download JDK 1.7. So JDK stands for Java Development Kit. You need not to download and install JRE separately. There are some people who download JRE separately, so you need not to do that. Directly go to this JDK and accept the license. Now, based on your operating system, if you are on Linux, you need to download from these based on your operating system. Mac OS X, you need to download this, and for Windows 64-bit, you need to download this exe file, and 32-bit, you need to download this. Installing Java is very simple. It's the same way that you install any other software. Just double click on it and it will install Java on your machine. Right. Now once you have installed Java, you go to your program files. It will actually gonna generate some folders like this. So inside my program file, there's a folder that is Java over here, right? So I also have JRE6 as well over here, but you should be getting these two folders, JDK 1.7 and JRE7, right? Now what you need to do after installing Java, you need to configure some environment variables to support Java. Environment variables, as in you need to go to run and type edit, and you'll see edit the system environment variables. Either you can go it from here, or you need to right click on your computer, go to properties and go to advanced system settings, go to environment variables. So you're gonna see this window, right? I have also covered how you can configure Java on these environment variables on a Mac operating system. So you can refer through that video. If you are unable to do it, right now I'm on the Windows machine. So if you are unable to do it, you can let me know and I'll gonna help you in that, right? So over here, just create a new variable and give it a name as Java_home. And now you need to copy this path up till JDK and give it over here. And then you need to click on OK. Right, once you click on OK, you'll see a variable something like Java home created over here. The next step, you need to go to the path variable, and at the very end, you need to put a semicolon and give a path up till this bin folder. So how are you going to give it? This path you have stored it inside a variable that is Java_home. So you're going to write %Java_home %/bin like this, and you need to click on OK. Once you have done this, your Java will be successfully configured. Right, now you want to make sure Java is configured or not. Just open up the command prompt and type Java-version. Once you press enter, it will going to show you the current version of Java. I already have 1.6 installed on my machine. I actually need to remove it. Then it will show 1.7, right? So if this message is showing that Java version 1.7 or whatever version that you install, then Java is successfully installed on your machine. because if Java is not there, then other applications will not gonna work, right? So the second prerequisite is that we need some editor where we can write Java code. Now you can use any editor. You can use Eclipse, you can use NetBeans, you can use IntelliJ. There are paid IDEs as well. There are open source IDE. We call it as IDE. It's not Selenium IDE, right? It's Eclipse IDE, right? Eclipse is there, NetBeans is there, IntelliJ is there, right? Whatever that you're working on, you can use that as well. Otherwise, most of the market is working on Eclipse. Eclipse is completely open source, right? So you can use Eclipse. Android Studio, yeah, you can use Android Studio as well. It also supports Java, so that shouldn't be an issue, right? So where you can download Eclipse from, you need to again go to Google and then you need to type download the Eclipse, right? So once you type download Eclipse, you're gonna see a link over here. Just go to this particular website and it will actually gonna take you to the download page of Eclipse. So this is the very basic version, Eclipse IDE for Java EE developer, and it's available for all operating system, Linux, Mac, Windows, right? So based on your Windows configuration or your operating system, 64-bit, 32-bit, you need to download this Eclipse. Completely open source. Once you download it, it will gonna come like a zip file or a tar file, right? You need to extract it. Once you extract it, you're gonna see a folder something like this. This is your Eclipse, and you're gonna see all these files. Now there is nothing installable in Eclipse. You get this exe file. You just need to double click on this exe file. Once you double click on it, it will launch your Eclipse. So initially it will take few seconds to launch your Eclipse. The very first screen you're gonna see is a workspace. Now workspace is a location where you will be maintaining your entire project code. Each and every piece of information each and every line of code that we're going to write will be stored at this particular location. So I'm going to give the workspace name as our batch name. So I'm going to give the batch name is 11th Jan online, right? Online batch. So this will be our workspace throughout our training. Each and every code that we're going to write will be stored at this location. And at the end of the session, I'll be mailing you this code, right? So let me click on OK. And as soon as we click on OK, it will launch the workspace. Okay, it's taking some time, so please be with me. All right. So the very first thing it will gonna show you is a welcome screen. You need to just close this welcome screen, and this is your Eclipse. So here you will be writing all the project. Here this is the project explorer. Here you'll be maintaining your project hierarchy. Here you will be writing the code, and here you'll see the output of that code. Right, so we'll be talking about other functionality of Eclipse later on as soon as we start coding something, right? Now, very first thing, since we are working on Java, so we need to create a new project. So new project, as in I'll right click over here, I'll click on new and click on project. And this should be a Java project. I'll click on next and give some project name. Now we can give any project name. Let's say I give it a name as Selenium Testing, right? And I'll click on finish. And I need to click on yes. right? So a project is created inside the package explorer. If I open up this project, you'll see the JRE, the Java runtime environments are already added, right? So what you need to do, right click on your source folder and create a new class and give it a name. You can give any name to this class. Let's give it a name as test sample, right? A sample class, and we need to check this main method. So initially we'll be testing some of the things using the main methods, because we haven't gone through the Java frameworks, that is JUnit or TestNg. Some people might be aware of JUnit and TestNg. Then you must be aware that we don't use main method, right? We execute our code using annotations. But there are some people who are very new, so we're going to start with main method first. Then once I'll teach you how to use this Java frameworks, TestNg or JUnit, then we will not be using this main method, right? So I'll click on finish, and it will going to generate a sample code over here. These are just the comments, so I'll going to remove them. And let me increase the font size as well. All right, so this main method, anything that I write inside this method will be executable. Anything that I want to execute, I need to write it inside this method. So let's say the very first thing in any programming language is we print something. So let's say I want to print hello world, right? So in C we use printf, in C++ we use cout, in Java we write system.out.println, right? And inside this we'll write hello world. Now I'll save this, run this, and it will print hello world, right? But we are not here to cover the very initial core Java part right now, right? We will be seeing very quickly how we can configure the WebDriver API over here, how we can get started with WebDriver, right? So we'll be creating our very first WebDriver program now, right? Now, as I said, there are many classes available in WebDriver, right, that we need to call actually. Now, before we get started with WebDriver, I want to explain you the architecture of WebDriver, how the WebDriver was actually created, right? And before doing that, I will actually be creating WebDriver API in front of you, right? I'm not going to create the actual WebDriver project that is already created. I will be creating a dummy WebDriver API in front of you just to show you that how they have actually coded that API and how we gonna use that API over here, right? So I'm gonna leave this Selenium testing project right now, and I will be creating a new project and give it a name as WebDriver API, and I'll click on finish. Right now, if we go back to seleniumhq.org, we'll see over here. Let's say I have actually talked about all these classes they have implemented: Firefox, Chrome, IE. Right? We'll try to implement these classes first. As a Java developer, let's say as Simon Stewart has created these classes in WebDriver project. So how he has created, that is what we need to see it right now. So what I'll do, I'll see over here, I'll look for Firefox first. So this is a class that is Firefox driver, right? This is inside a package org.openqa.selenium.firefox. Now how these packages are created? What is the naming convention behind these packages? Let's say my company is Way to Automation, right? If I have to create any package, let's say I am working on a project of Selenium and I want to create a package, a Java package. So my website is waytoautomation.com. A package is always created in a reverse order. So I'll create a package with the name com.waytoautomation or w2a.selenium, and I might be creating a class Firefox, so I'll give it a name as Firefox. So this is a package naming convention, how the packages are created. Same way, Selenium is now a product of Open QA community, right? So the package for Firefox was created as org.openqa and the project name, and this is the class that they have used, Firefox. I mean, this is a package specifically related to Firefox, so all the Firefox findings will be inside this package only. Okay, Kishore, you are, okay, screen is frozen. Is it for everyone else? Guys, are you able to see the screen? Oh. Okay, guys, are you able to see that I have highlighted Firefox? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thanks. Yeah, Kishore, it's showing for you now as well. All right. Thanks. So if I talk about the Firefox, how they have created this class, I'll just copy this class from here, and I go back to my project and right click over here, click on new class, and give this class name. I'll remove this method, main method for the time being, right? And this class is inside a package that is org.openqa.firefox. So I'll copy it from here, go back to this Eclipse, paste this inside the package, and click on finish. Right. So this is one of the class they have implemented. Now inside this class, they have created various methods, right, which we can use and we can automate our website. Now method like in case of Webdriver, for opening a URL, for navigating to any URL, there is a method that they have created that is get. So what this get method will do, it accepts an argument that is URL, right? And inside this method, they have written some code which will actually navigate it to this particular URL. So for the timing, I'm just going to, since I'm not creating the actual WebDriver API, I'm creating a dummy API to make you understand how it works. So I'll just be printing something. I'll just write navigating to the URL, and the URL is, let me maximize it, plus the URL, and I'll write inside Firefox. So this method is specifically created for Firefox, right? Same way, I'll create one more method. I'll say public void a method called click. Let's say I want to click on any element. It accepts locator, and I'll simply write a code clicking on an element, and I'll give plus locator over here. Then I create one more method, public, one more thing I want to write over here inside Firefox. So again, this method and the definition is specifically related to Firefox. Public void get title, and I can write over here getting the title of current page in Firefox, right? Same way, they have implemented n number of methods which you can call from this Firefox driver class and automate your functionality on a Firefox browser, right? Next, they have implemented another class that is Internet Explorer. So I'll again gonna go over here. You'll see another class that is Internet Explorer driver. I'll just copy this class from here and right click on the source, new class Internet Explorer driver, and this class is inside a package org.openqa.selenium.ie. So I'll paste this package over here, and then I'll click on finish. So this is another class, and this I class, it also contains the same method, because I can go navigate to a URL in IE as well. I can click in IE as well. I can get the title in IE as well. So all the things that I can perform in Firefox, same thing I can perform in IE as well. So the same methods are common in IE as well, right? But the definition of these methods will be changed as per the Internet Explorer API. So now these will be, this will get the URL in IE, this will click in IE, this will get the title from IE. And same way, there was another class implemented that is for Chrome. So for Chrome, there was another class that is Chrome driver. So let's search for that Chrome driver over here. So this is a Chrome driver class. I'll copy this class and right click, new class, give the class name, and this is inside a package. This. I'll paste it over here, click on finish. So this is a Chrome driver class, and it also contains the same methods, right? Same method, but with different definition inside method, different code inside method, right? Now what they have done, once they have created all these classes, they have created another thing that is a new interface, right? Now what is an interface? Interface is like a class only, but it also contains methods, but it contains only the method bodies. It does not contain any definition inside those methods. And we cannot create an object of interface. Object is always created of a class. The definition of methods are always present inside a class. Interface contains the same methods that are there inside a class, but it only contains the method body. It does not contain any definition from the class. Now what they have done, they have created an interface. If you go over here, you'll find one of the interface that is Webdriver. Now you can see Webdriver is in italic. Anything that is in italic is an interface. Anything that you see in a normal font is a class. If I click on this, this is interface. So they have created an interface called Webdriver, and they have kept it inside this package. And if I click on finish, this is an interface. Now this interface, if you see it over here, this interface, you can see all known implementing classes. So these are all the classes which implements this Webdriver interface. Your Firefox driver, your Chrome, your IE, Safari. So far we have implemented IE, Chrome, and Firefox, right? Now what I'll do, I'll go inside the Firefox class and I'll write over here implements Webdriver, and I'll get a red line over here. I'll import, when I mouse over onto this, I need to import this Webdriver interface, because this is inside a different package. This is inside a different package. If you want to call any functionality of Webdriver inside any other package, you actually need to import this package. If you click on this, this statement will be added automatically, right? Same thing we're going to do in other classes. If I copy it from here and paste it in IE, the above statement, import statement, will be added automatically. See, this is a functionality of Eclipse. This statement is added automatically. Same thing if I do it in Chrome, again this is added automatically, right? Now what I'll do, inside Webdriver will contain the same methods that are there in IE, that are there in Firefox, that are there in Chrome. So same public void get URL, but it will only hold the method body. That's it. The definition is accessed from these classes only. Secondly, public void click. I'll copy this, paste it over here. The third method is public void get title. Only the method bodies, no definition. As soon as I save this, you can see these two classes are not showing any error, but the Chrome one is showing an error. Why it is showing the error? If you go to this Chrome driver class, you can see the error is on the class name. If you mouse over onto this class, you can see it is giving us some quick fixes and it is asking us to add all unimplemented methods. Because if there is any class which is implementing some interface, it has to implement all the methods that are there inside that interface. So we actually need to give definition to all these methods inside a class which is actually implementing this interface. So if I mouse over onto this, if I click on this, all these methods will be added over here. Now this @override, it's not an annotation, you can remove it. If you remove it, it will not gonna hamper anything, right? So we'll not get confused with anything. Now here the definition should be as per the Chrome driver. So I can I'll just copy it from here. Same method should be there inside the Chrome driver as well, but the definition is specific to Chrome, right? For click as well, it should be Chrome. For title as well, it should be in Chrome, right? So we have created 3 different classes. All these 3 classes shares the same method name, but the definition are different inside these classes. And all these methods are actually published over here as a method body inside an interface. Now why this interface is required? You will be able to understand this in some time, right? So what I'll do, I've created all these things. Now I'm gonna create one more thing. There is one more method. More method as in there is a method which has the same name as of the class name. Now what is that method called? Public Firefox driver. Without any return type, without void, without int, without string. This is a method that has the same name as of the class name. And this method is there in all these classes. Or what we call this method? Public IE. And over here, public Chrome driver. So guys, what we call this method?
There's the constructor.
Exactly. So it's a constructor. Now what is a constructor? Constructor looks like a method only, right? But it has a same name as of the class name. Now how can I call a constructor? Let's say I have written a code something like as launching Firefox, right? I'll just write over here calling constructor. They've written a code inside this constructor that whenever this is called, it will launch a Firefox browser. Now let's try working on Firefox first. I'll create a separate test class. I'll create a class test with a package test and the main method. Now I want to test the functionality of Firefox. I only want to work on Firefox right now. So what I'll do, I'll say Firefox driver. I'll create an object of this class. Driver equal to new Firefox driver. As soon as I write it, I actually need to import the Firefox driver class from its package, right? Now when I write driver dot get, I'll get this option. I'll get all the methods from this class. I can say http google.com. Then let's say I want to get the title of the page. I'll say driver dot get title. I want to say driver dot let's say click. I want to click on any element. I've given the link, the text of that element ABCD, right? When executed, it will gonna execute all this functionality. Now I want to call this method as well, this public Firefox driver. So what I'll do, I'll write driver dot Firefox. Oh, I don't get this method. There is no method called Firefox driver. So how will I call this method? So when this method will be called, although it has the same name as of the class name, but how will it be called? We cannot call it explicitly. Yeah. Yeah, please go ahead.
We need to create an object for that.
Okay, so have we not created an object over here?
We have created for Firefox driver, but we need to initialize that with some variable.
Okay, do we need to initialize it with some variable in order to call this method? Okay, let's see. If I don't write this thing, if I don't call any of the method, what will happen if I just press run? What will happen? Will it execute anything or will it not execute?
It will just invoke the constructor.
Exactly. So constructor, this method is, this is not a method, it is actually a constructor, and it is called as soon as you create an object of this class. So as soon as I run this, the very first thing that will be called is a constructor from this class. As soon as you create an object of any class, very first thing is called the constructor of that class, right? So now let's come back to the same topic. I was asking that what is an object inside this statement. If I don't write this thing, and if I still call it, will it print something or not?
No.
Okay, someone says yes, someone says no.
No, it won't print because we are not creating any object.
Alright, so if I run this, it will not gonna print anything. See, it has not printed anything. Now what if I write this? Will it print anything? If I just write this?
Yeah, it will print.
It will print. So if I run this, yes, it has printed calling constructor. So it means that this is an object because the constructor is only called whenever an object is created. So it means when we write new Firefox driver, then only an object is created and a constructor is called, right? Now what if I want to call the method get, or I want to call the method get title? I'll say dot get, and I can write it like this way as well. If I say http google.com, if I save this and run this, it should call the constructor, launch a Firefox browser, and then it will navigate to google.com, right? Now next thing what I need to do, I need to call the next method, that is the get title method. After navigating to the website, I want to get the title of that website. So I'll again say new Firefox driver dot get title, and I'll save this, I'll run this again and see the results. It is launching Firefox twice because the constructor is called twice. It means two objects are created, and then with the first object it is launching Firefox and going to google.com. With the second object, it is launching Firefox, but it is not going to google.com. It is just printing the title if it is there on any Firefox. If you by default launch a Firefox, it will just gonna print this title. But we don't want this. We want the title of google.com. So we need not to call the constructor again and again. We need not to create object again and again. So what I've done, I have removed these things from here, and store this object inside some variable, and I've given the variable name as driver equal to this, and the data type, the type of this driver will be of this class type only. And then using this driver reference, I can say driver dot get http google.com, and then driver dot click, give the locator, and driver dot get title. And when I execute it, it will call the constructor only once, launch the Firefox only once, then navigate it to the URL, clicked on an element, and get the title of that element, the title of the web page. So this is how this will gonna work. Now let's say I have tested this thing and all these things are working absolutely fine. My entire project is working fine, all the classes are working fine. Now what I'll do, I'll right click on my project. I'll first close all these things. I'll right click on my project, go to export, click on Java, and select jar file from here. I'll click on next. I'll remove these things and go to browse, go to my desktop, and right over here Selenium server standalone 2.44.0.jar, and I'll click on finish, and then I'll click on finish. And if I again go to my desktop, you'll see a jar file generated over here. See, this is the same jar file that we have downloaded from seleniumhq.org. This is the same jar file that you see over here in the jars folder. Now it is nothing like if I double click on it, it will install the project that we have written so far. It will not going to do that. It will not install the project. It contains only the project code that we have written, the classes that we have created, the interface that we have created, the methods that we have created. Right? Now let's say, forget about this Webdriver API project that we have created. Right? Now let's go back to our Selenium testing project. The test sample class that we have created. We have created this class. Now I want to, I'll be working as a tester now. Earlier we were working as a developer, as let's say Simon Stewart. Now we are working as a tester. And now I don't want to use this WebDriver, like I want to use this test sample class only, and I want to automate my website. Now I know that using the WebDriver project that I've created earlier, or using the WebDriver project of this developer who has created this project, I can automate my website. And in this project there was a class called Firefox driver. I can use that class and I can automate my test on Firefox browser. So what I'll do, inside this main method, I'll create an object of a class. I'll say Firefox driver equal to new Firefox driver. Right? But it is showing me some errors. Why? Because I have not imported the library, the Firefox driver class. If I mouse over onto this, it's not showing me any option to import Firefox driver. Why? Because Firefox driver was a project of some other company. Some other guy has created Firefox driver. I cannot use this class directly. This class is actually present under this jar file. If I want to access this class, I need this jar file in my project, in this Selenium testing project. So what I need to do, I'll right click on this project, I'll go to build path, I'll click on add external archives, and then I'll select this jar file, this particular jar file from my desktop. I'll click on open, and still it is showing an error. But now if I mouse over onto this class, it will give me an option import Firefox driver. From the package org.openqa.selenium.firefox, this is the same package that we have created. If I click on this, you can see the class is already imported. If I now run it, it will launch Firefox browser. See, now I can execute all the functionality from this class. I am able to access all the methods from this class. I can call all these methods and I can execute it. I'll say driver dot click. I'll say driver dot get title. So I have actually referred that jar file from some other project into my project, and I'm able to execute everything. Right? So this is how, someone asked a question how to create a jar file. This is how we create a jar file. And this is how the entire WebDriver project, entire Selenium RC project is being implemented. This is how they have actually shared their code, their library, whatever they have implemented with this particular jar file. Now if I remove this jar file, this is a dummy jar file that we have created, a sample one. If I remove this, and I'll go to build path, remove it, and now if I add the actual jar file, I'll remove all the methods as well, and I'm going to add the actual jar file. Actual jar file that I've downloaded from seleniumhq.org, that is presented over here in C drive, softwares, jars. So for WebDriver, as I said, you can use this jar file as well, or you can use other jar files as well. I'm going to start with this. Later on, I'll show you other one as well. So I'll just open it. Again, this is over here, and all the errors are gone. See. Now let's see if I click on run, what will happen. If I click on run, it has not printed anything now. Let's see what it will gonna do. It has launches a browser, a Firefox browser. Because in a constructor they have written, as soon as you create an object of this class, it will actually gonna launch a Firefox browser. Now if you want to visit any website, you'll say driver.get, and in the URL you'll say http google.com. I'll save this and run this. It will again launch a browser and will take you to google.com. Right? So this is how the entire API was implemented. I'm not going to talk about the Chrome and IE class right now because we have already extended our time. We have already extended it for 6 minutes, right? So we're gonna deal with like the other browser classes in our next session. Before that, I mean, you can go through these examples from the tutorials as well. I would want that just go through the Java sessions first if you are not familiar with Java programming, right? So just go through the Java lectures. The initial ones up till the OOPS concept, you should be following up till that, and then start with the WebDriver. If you want to play around Selenium RC, you can do that, but it's of no use as of now because people are actually going to remove that from the API. Right, but still, if you want to practice some logics, it's very easy to learn Selenium RC. And WebDriver is a bit complex initially, but once you start working on WebDriver, you're really going to enjoy it more than people who used to work on RC. So it's very interesting. I mean, as compared to RC or any other thing. So that is all we're going to do in our today's session. So if you guys have any questions or queries, you can ask it right now. I hope everything you guys are able to understand. If there is anything that you're not able to understand, you can ask it right now.
In the beginning, you mentioned like for Selenium WebDriver, apart from the single jar file, there are a couple of other jar files also we need to add to these external libraries.
Exactly. Either we can add this jar file, or if I remove it, let's say if I remove it, the other jar files, you can add it from here, the path that is over here. And you need to add these 2 jars, plus you need to add other jars, that is all these jars. So these are all the WebDriver jars, specifically
Okay,
for
so
WebDriver project. Yeah, and it will give you the same output. If you click on run, it will gonna give you the same output. It will launch Firefox and it will navigate to google.com.
okay, so either we need that single jar file or we have to import this all these jar files. We can choose
Exactly.
either one or
Exactly. All right.
okay, thanks.
All right. So anyone else? All right. Thanks, Kishore.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys. If you have any questions, then just mail it across to me. Right. We'll meet in the next session, and I'll be sending you a new link for our next session. So we'll be meeting again next weekend.
So
All right.
Raman, just to get this, whatever you have done through today, can we get a video for this?
Sure. I'll like stop the recording right now. So it will be converted. It will gonna take some time to convert in the WMV format. So once I convert it, I may upload it on Udemy itself, or if not there, then I'll upload it on a separate drive and I'll share it to each and every one of you.
Okay.
All right.
The next session will be started in the same time?
Yeah, same time.
Okay.
All right. So thanks a lot, guys, for your patience and for your time. And
So Raman, one last question.
exactly. Yep.
So in the meantime, before we start the next class, we should have all these things ready on our machines, like installing Java and
Exactly.
downloading these jar files and making it ready. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
Because later on I'll be giving you some assignments. So if these things are already ready on your machine, then you should be able to pick up on the same pace.
Yeah. Fair enough. Thank you.
All right. Yes, Jignesh, let me try to unmute you. Yeah, you have question that. So what questions you want to ask? Like you are learning.
It's like I'm working for XYZ company and I'm looking for something that like a completely standalone application, and then I want to automate that application, right? So I just want to understand how this WebDriver is going to help me in making those things, right?
Okay, so
Automate those things.
so WebDriver, if you want to perform automation testing on mobile apps using APM or Selenium, right? So those are basically a wrapper over the WebDriver API only. All the methods that you're gonna access will be from the WebDriver API itself. Whatever things that we're gonna discuss over here, whatever logics that we're gonna discuss over here, same logics will be applied when you are performing a testing on any mobile app, like finding elements, clicking on elements, all the things will gonna remain the same. Just the initial configuration that will be changed. So that I'll be covering once I start on APM for mobile testing. So then I'll gonna let you know about it. But all these concepts will gonna remain same.
Oh, okay, perfect. And the other thing was like I was trying to, at the same time when you were doing this thing, I was just trying to implement the Selenium file, and then I was getting a cross line across creating an object. So I understand it's deprecated and all those things, yes.
Exactly.
But like I still don't get it. Like
Okay, so you have actually started with the Selenium RC tutorials first, right? That is the reason you got it deprecated. So just change that Selenium in the Selenium thing that you have written in the very beginning. Like you must have written Selenium equal to new default Selenium. Just change that Selenium to default Selenium. You need to write default Selenium equal to new default Selenium, and then it will work.
Oh, default Selenium equals to new default Selenium.
Exactly. Then it will work.
Oh, it does. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Raman.
All right. Okay. Next question: how to upgrade Selenium RC to WebDriver framework? No, you should not be doing that, because they have actually created another class over here. If you see in this API, there was a class created that is WebDriver backed Selenium. This class was specifically related to the same question that you just asked, that the companies who have already created projects on Selenium RC, now they want to move on to WebDriver. So how they're going to do it? So they have created a class called WebDriver back Selenium, and they have created an intermediator between that is your interface Selenium. So if you see over here, there's another interface Selenium. So whatever methods that were there inside the default Selenium class, they kept the same method inside the WebDriver back Selenium class as well, right? And using this Selenium interface, you can directly jump onto this WebDriver class. Although I have not make you clear what an interface is completely, because we still have to cover that topic. So I'm not sure if you are able to get it completely. But this interface was implemented just if you want to switch your existing RC architecture, and if you want to move on to WebDriver, then you should be using this WebDriver back Selenium class. But again, it supports very limited functionality. So this was not a very big success. So it was always recommended, if you are starting on WebDriver, it's better to create the entire project from scratch in WebDriver, rather you should migrate from RC to WebDriver. Because in migration, you're going to face a lot of challenges. And there are many features that are not supported. So this was not a very big success. So people directly started using WebDriver. They implemented all the projects from scratch. All right. All right, guys. Any more questions? So I hope you have enjoyed the session, and we're gonna meet next week. Thank you. Thanks, guys.